Hello Fly Nation and welcome to the Freestyle Your Life podcast, the one and only podcast inspiring you to live your authentic greatness while teaching you that less is more. I'm your host, Erneste Kalle-Zimmermann, and I'm on my mission to help you to be the hero you were meant to be and to live what you came for in life and in business. Remember, the quest we came here for is to discover our true nature, explore our potential and share it by living. Hello Fly Nation, I'm so happy to announce the Fly winner of May 2019. Congratulations to Carl Contino. Carl is a brain expert and specialized on the slippery mind. He inspires how to create a world of love, passion and connection by observing our state of mind. Today's topic, the question on how we can turn our dreams into reality, covers what we all yearn for in life: freedom, health, love, and abundance. Michael Woodward reveals in this episode number 15 how one of our greatest wishes to turn our dreams into reality can come through. I'm so honored to have Michael on the Fly Show today. He's the founder of JumbleThink and the JumbleThink Podcast. His podcast has been ranked number 1 on the business and career categories on iTunes. Here he is telling the story of entrepreneurs who turn their dreams and ideas into reality. All of us were created for purpose. On the idea camps, Michael helps you create the roadmap to turn your dreams and ideas into reality. It's a 3-day event and you can learn much more in the show notes. The sole purpose for this event is to help you make those dreams and ideas you have to come alive. Let's explore more about it and jump right into it. This is Michael Woodward today on the Fly podcast, and he himself has a podcast, the Jumble, how is it spelled?
JumbleThink
podcast, and he's a podcast colleague, and we actually met in Tampa in February. I don't know how many weeks it is. Well, anyway, it was in February. We've been on the New Media Summit. That's why we know each other. And he has an exciting program, and this is Idea Camps, and you will tell us something about it later on. And it's a new event, 3 days event coming on in October, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you will surely share something about it with us. And I was just laughing because I saw on your Facebook page, I saw the gimmick and the question where Workism is making Americans miserable. So that was the question. They had an article about it, and I think, yeah, this is not only true for Americans, but it's over here it's almost the same. So I do relate totally, and we'll just go on the fly, and you please share something about the micro experiment and whatever you're doing there, and how do you get what I'm fascinated by the topic you have, Michael, right? So it's how we can manage and put our ideas and dreams into how Steve says in my fruition, right? Into fruition. So that's what you're occupied about, and please share how this goes.
Yeah, so it's been an interesting journey. For years, I worked at a church, and when the economy tumbled, I had to go do something different. So I ended up working for a friend of mine, and in that, I discovered the journey of entrepreneurship, and ended up starting my own business and growing that. And a couple of years ago, a coach of ours said, "Hey, what do you want to do? You've done all these great things. You've built an agency. You've been successful. What is it that you want to do?" And that set me on a journey of discovery. Like, what are my dreams? What are my ideas? I've been serving so many others by building websites and doing stuff. What are my ideas? And so that really for me was the journey that started what we're doing today with the podcast, what we're doing today with idea camps, what we're doing today with the micro experiment concept. That all was birthed out of that season of helping others turn their dreams and ideas into reality, and now looking and saying, what is the process to do that for myself?
Okay, because I was wondering how you came to all these conclusions, right?
Yeah.
Great.
So that's been the journey, and in that process, we worked a lot with anyone from mom and pop to Fortune 500 corporations, worked on the process of how do you take a concept or an idea and turn that into a product and service. And so learned a lot of these skills by helping. A good example is we had one client who was starting a new business. We built their public facing stuff, and they said, hey, can you build a platform for us? And now it's become a third of $1 billion industry. So that process of people coming in saying, we have a concept, but we don't know how to make it a reality. I've been fascinated with that. And beyond that, in the bigger picture, as a pastor, one of my passions is to help people figure out who they are, who they're created to be, and then help them transition into a place where they're actually fulfilling that created purpose. They're using their gifts and their strengths and their abilities to turn that into unlocking those dreams and ideas that are deep inside of them that make them come alive. And so that's one of the things that gets me excited. And we birthed JumbleThink out of that philosophy of everyone's created with purpose. Everyone has gifts and amazing talents and abilities and passions and things that get them excited. And so many of us, at least in America, we settle for the safe life, the life of, hey, I'm going to get the 9 to 5. I'm going to do this for 20, 30, 40 years. And they settle into a routine where they're depressed. They aren't feeling fulfilled.
Exactly.
And so we want to dispel that myth and say, we believe you're created for purpose. And the reason that you feel like you're not achieving it is because you're not. And the reason you're not achieving it is because you have chosen to play it safe. You've chosen to play the small game instead of playing the big game. So helping people discover that.
Exactly. So, that's so great, Michael, because we have that in common, right? We both believe, and plenty of my audience also, we believe that the quest we came here for, right? We came here for a special purpose and a mission. And, well, we forgot about it and life came in the way, right? But we have to find back to it. And I'm sort of really the authentic fan and girl that's relating to my own life stories. But I strongly believe we came here for a mission and we have to find that inner burning flame again, right? Yeah. And this is not playing safe and going on whatever safe 9 to 5 job, because that doesn't lead to fulfillment, to being just ourselves, right? So we are always keeping on playing roles and wearing this hat and that hat and all masks. And whatever I discovered in my life and have seen there with clients is that going on doing that is not leading to any fulfillment or happiness.
Right. And I agree with that. I think that's one of the things that we've bought into is that I have my life segmented, let's say. And so a lot of people say, I have my work life. I have my family life. I have my hobbies life. I have my whatever it is. And so we segment those into different places and we transition those times throughout our day. And we say, no, I'm at work. And so now I'm focused on work. And the reality is that I think that that's a bad place to operate from. I think that we need to live in a place that we're much more holistic about our life. Because if things are, let's say we have a child and the child is sick, that is going to impact how we work. Because we're going to be worried about, oh, they're really sick. Maybe I have a good friend that just went through a season where their daughter had cancer and it completely changed their life. And that impacted their work. And to say, hey, you're supposed to segment that. Now you're at work, be hyper-focused. It's just not realistic and it's not fair. And I think that we become our best when we step into the fullness of who we are. And so the fullness of who we are is the same, whether we're working, whether we're at home, whether we're in our community. We are the same person. Yes. Now, we may be serving in different ways, but our personality, our loves, our joys, our pains, our suffering, whatever we're going through is consistent through all of those things. And so when we bring those together, we can begin to operate in a fullness that allows us to really approach life in a better way. So I don't like segmentation. And I think that's what you were saying there is like, the hats and switching back and forth, the chaos of that. I think that we need to live a little bit more holistic and see how we paint the picture of the life we want to live. Yeah. And the life that we want to live is a full picture, not a, I want to work 100 hours and then you don't think about anything else. No, it's what is the picture of the wholeness that great.
So great you brought that up, Michael, because I have that in all my programs and everything I do. I strongly believe we are one person, me or you or our listeners, and wherever we develop in what field of whatever personal development, this leads to better better business development, right? So I think this is not the person Michael in the business and the person Michael in the private scene there, as you just explained. So we are always one, and private and business influences each other, vice versa, right?
Yeah,
that's completely. I'm totally relating to that. Yeah.
Yeah, and as a person that's had multiple employees work for me as I've built businesses, the struggles of home, the struggles of, I can think of one guy who I love dearly, who you could tell when things weren't going well at home because he'd be a little bit depressed and he wouldn't be as happy. And then there's people that found joy even in the hardship, and they'd come to work and things might be going rough, but they're finding joy in that in their whole life. And they're approaching and attacking that from the place of like, I am thankful for what season I'm in today, even though it's not great. And so you look at how that interchange happens in the holistic life, and all of a sudden it changes the game on how you approach work. I want the guy who is finding joy at home because he's going to be happy at work too. Yeah. And so we've got to start thinking about people as, a great way to say this is if someone that works for me is struggling, my job as an employer is to sit down with them. And even if it's not appropriate per se, because the world tells us it's not appropriate, is to sit down and go, hey, what's going on? How can I help you? How can I process this? And say, just because it's a home issue doesn't mean that as a boss or employer, I can't come in and say, I want to love you well. I want to help you get through this. I want to be forced to say, hey, maybe we can make your life better here, which will then impact home if it's something here. And if it's something at home, maybe we can give you some insights about personal experiences and do that journey of life together.
Yeah. That's wonderful. I'm flashed by your thoughts there, Michael. That's because everything influences each other there, right? It might be a home issue, of course, or with the spouse or whatever. But when this guy is at work, right? He's at work and he takes the home problems into work, right? So then, for us as entrepreneurs, it's our problem because having him sit there and not being happy and having problems at home and being depressed and thinking of whatever might happen there, he will not do a brilliant job.
Right.
Right?
I completely agree. Yeah.
It's our job to come into play and to talk and to give a helping hand. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And so please tell us with the micro experiments, what's that?
Yeah. So, all right. I know that you are a person that pushes into things that are yet created. You are a person that's taking your ideas and dreams and making them a reality. So I have a question for you. Have you ever been challenged with fear stepping into a new season?
Yes.
Have you ever faced where you went, I'm going to just fail?
Yes.
And stepping into the new thing. Have you ever saw something and it was so vivid and real, and yet when you went to approach it, you just go, I don't know how to get there?
Yes.
Okay. So the problem with chasing big ideas and dreams is that for most people, they see the big picture and they get scared by it. They say, my objection is I'm afraid to step into it. I might fail. It might not work out. What if I step into this and I can't provide for my family? These are real fears. You know, what if I step into this and it doesn't fulfill me the way I thought it would?
Yeah.
What if it succeeds? All of these are different fears. And for other people, it's objections of saying, well, my idea is so big. I don't have the resources to make it happen. Maybe I need more people. I don't have the knowledge. Maybe it's an app and I don't know how to code. You know, all of these things feed into it. So objections are easily put against a big idea and dream. But what happens when you take and say, you know what, what's the next small step to get me to the big idea and dream? So micro experiments were born out of this place to say a dream and an idea is typically big and it's overwhelming and you have objections to stop you there. But if you make it fun by taking basically the scientific method and say, hey, I want to make my dreams and ideas a reality and I'm going to make small steps. You can learn from that. You can pivot your idea. You can grow it. You can evolve it into what it's supposed to be and step into the fullness of that. So we have 5 steps we call the Dreamer's Guide to Micro Experiments. And I'll just run through them real quick. So step number 1 is form a question or goal. What do you want to learn or achieve in this micro experiment? Ask a clear question of what you want answered or the goal you want to reach. So keep it simple. And an example of this is, let's say I have an idea for starting a soda company. Let's say a craft root beer company making birch beers and sarsaparilla and things like that. Well, the big picture says, well, if I want to start a company doing this, I've got to get all the bottling equipment. I've got to get all the materials. I have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars of money to step into this. But that's not a really achievable goal. So what is this first small goal that's really good? Well, I'll give you 2 examples. Example number 1 is to say, if I want to make this a business and it's not just about a hobby, let's see if there's a market interested in this. So how can I do that? Well, I can go and say, why don't I run a Google ad campaign for a short period of time, a week? And let's see what the conversion is. How many people see that ad? Then how many people click on that ad? And then when they get to the landing page and it says, hey, coming soon, we're going to do this thing. And you talk about the story and all that kind of stuff. How many people sign up to keep up to date? So that's an example of a simple micro experiment. Now, another micro experiment might be, hey, this weekend, I'm going to do my first batch of root beer. I'm going to make 10 bottles of root beer. And I'm not going to have the formula correct. I'm not going to know how to do it, but I'm going to experiment and do it. So step number 1 is set that goal. So the goal for the ad campaign would be to see if people are interested. The goal for the micro experiment of trying to brew it would be to just learn it and do it. The second thing, the second step of the Dreamer's Guide to Micro Experiments is to set a time limit. Remember, this is a micro experiment, so you want to set a short-term time limit of an hour, a day, a weekend, a week, maybe a month if it's a bigger goal, and then try the experiment. Keep it as short as possible. So for the ad campaign, it might be a week. For the root beer, like the first batch of 10 bottles, it might be a day. And so you want to stay focused at the task, stay clear about it.
Next depends on whatever is on, right?
Yeah, you want to make it as simple as possible. Remember to simplify it. Remember to keep it short. But if it's a goal that takes a month to do, well, take that full month. But if you're pushing past a month, then it's really not a micro experiment. It's just a larger experiment. And so step 3 is to run the experiment. It's time to get your hands dirty, no matter if you fail or succeed. And I think that's one of the things of people stepping into it is like, if I don't succeed when I try this, then obviously my dream and idea wasn't real. I'm not good enough. I don't measure up, whatever that is. Well, it's not about failing or succeeding in these micro experiments. It's about learning and growing. So you're going to be doing multiple micro experiments. This is just the first one in the step. So document how you went through it, what you experienced. Did I like what I did? Did I hate what I did? What did I learn? What failed? What succeeded? And then the final, the next step is to, step 4 is to stop and reflect. So part of the process is learning. And so often we are in a hurry in Western civilization. So it's like, I've just got to get to the next thing to keep going. But it's important in this process to stop and reflect. And this may take you a week or two to process and really get through. What did you learn through the experiment? What worked? What didn't work? What did you enjoy? What did you hate? Reflect on the experiment and make observations.
Right.
Your final step is rinse and repeat. Continue the process. This is not a one-time experiment. These are micro experiments to get you to the dream and idea. So continue the process. If you succeeded the first time, then take the next step. If you failed, adjust and try again or change directions. If you hated it, figure out what you didn't like about it. You know, you may go, well, what I didn't like about it was whatever. And so if you're a business or an entrepreneur, you may go, what I didn't like about my micro experiment was managing the accounting part. Okay, well, then how do you navigate that issue? If you're not good at it or you just don't like it, maybe you could hire a CPA or find a friend that can manage it for you if you're an early startup and help them equity to be a part of it. So figure out what those things are. And if you go, the dream and idea is still valid, if it's still something I want to do, then how do I make the next micro experiment and continue the process? So it's an evolutionary process of the idea and dream. When you arrive to your dream, and if you talk to most entrepreneurs or business owners, what they realize as the end result of where they're going isn't what the initial dream often was. And sometimes it's better and sometimes it's worse. Using this micro experiment allows you to grow and evolve in a healthy way instead of constantly being in a defensive place with your entrepreneurial journey of responding to the situation. Now you can be proactive. And so what micro experiments allow you to do is, one, build a place of safety, make it simple. Number two, make it simple. Number three, lower the liability and risk. And so often we do big steps that fail massively because we don't have the knowledge or the abilities or the education to get where we need to go. By doing micro experiments, we leverage the resources we have at a low cost of entry, low risk. And so that makes it more achievable. So that's number three. And number four, you're making it fun. It's about being proactive and about engaging with the idea and engaging with the dream and processing through the cycle to make that a reality. Instead of responding to things hitting you, you're pushing into the future. A good friend of mine always says, if you want to lead well, you lead people to where you already are at. So if I'm a dreamer or an idea, I've got to be living in the place where the idea and dream already exist and pull other people along. These micro experiments allow me to rapidly get to somewhere that other people aren't, and then live there and pull people along on that journey, that story into the future we're creating.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's the same with having a coach, right? I have plenty of coaches I still have, but more of them I have. I was always watching out for coaches who are there where I want to go, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing, I'm a fan of simplicity because I think nobody will do and follow the system if it's too complex and not simple. So our goal here, also with the podcast, with everything, is to make it simple and applicable, right?
Yeah.
So I always have people on or bring my own examples. I think with stories and examples to hear, right, on the podcast, it's the easiest way to really feel it, to come into the story, right? Maybe somebody doesn't relate to one of the examples, but it's imaginable, and it's a story, and it's rememberable, and it's we learn much better and take much more of it from a story or from an example, just from a text written down, right? The other thing is, I love these micro experiments, and I'm doing them all over myself because I think it's as an entrepreneur, following big goals is the only way to stay really full focus and committed, because the goal is so big and its realization might be in 1 or 2 years. So on the way, we just get sort of lost if we don't break it down in small pieces, right? And making it, make those small micro I'm missing the word just now.
Experiment.
Micro experiment, yes. I was so in the topic. Make the micro experiment. You call it. I call it just breakdown in several steps that are measurable, that are really could be done, right? A project from 1 year from now. It's how can you track if you're if you're doing good or whatever? So the breaking down process for the micro experiment is not only to measure, hey, am I on the right road here, but it's also to give back to yourself, right? To have something you really could reach, an overview and achieve, and then be proud of, and to have fun with it, right? Because for example, I had the challenge. I was very ill, and then I did set up my Freestyle Your Life system and academy. It's a big thing because there is a trainership behind and everything. So the next thing was the Fly podcast. We are just talking here. The other thing is the Fly Online Summit. Mm-hmm. And the next thing is my book is coming out at the end of the year. It's all about how to become authentic. And there's a retreat. So I had to prolong the retreat to next year because it's just crazy. It can't be done at once, right? The projects are that big. So it's really not easy to have the overview over it. And so I really had to break it down. So right now I started with the Fly podcast. In summer, the online summit coming, and the book is a little bit on the side just now because I'm here on the launch. I'm busy with the podcast business, but otherwise you can't, you get lost in all the big goal you have, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we always want to succeed, but the reality is that success isn't a marker of true success. Growth, development, and the perseverance to keep on going is the true mark of success. So someone actually asked me one time, they said, when did you know you were a successful podcast? And I said, when I chose to define my success. So often, like in the podcasting space, people define success based off of like growth, how fast your podcast grows, or the amount of guests that you have, or whatever it is. And so I was looking at other people and watching their successes. Like some people would be like, I'm 3 weeks in and I've had 1 billion downloads. And I'm like, well, I'm a year in and I haven't had 1 billion downloads. So what's wrong with me? And I started measuring my success against their successes. Yeah. Only to find out later that part of their success story is that they had been an influencer on Facebook with 2 million followers, or they had been a blogger before this and they had a massive mailing list of 100,000 people. And so those 100,000 people over the month listened to 40 episodes that they released because they released every day and twice on Sundays or whatever it is. And so when I took the power back and defined my own success, it gave me the freedom to flourish for who I am and where I'm at and step into the things that I know that I'm to create.
Well, your podcast is so extremely successful, Michael. Come on, please. I hope the launch, I'm just in the launch phase here, it will go properly, and it all, of course, depends not only on being authentic and doing great interviews and having great guests on the show, but it's also about the big promoting field, right? Yeah. Myself and you and all the other guests, right? Because nobody can jump on it if it's not visible, if it's not, if nobody knows, right? We just know what we know. Yeah. So for other things we don't know, we just don't know them. We can't go for them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We maybe would, but we have to know.
Yeah.
And
yeah, there's a great saying that my coach would always say, and he's British, so it comes with that British accent. And so he would always say, only kings and queens know what kings and queens know. Meaning that unless you've been in the role, you don't know what it takes to be in that role. So if you go, hey, I want to be a billionaire, but you've never been a billionaire, you don't know what it's like to be a billionaire. Maybe you don't want to be a billionaire. You find out that being a millionaire is more than satisfying for you, and being a billionaire is more stress than you want. So there's tons of things you could do to learn from that. Read the books of billionaires. Go, I'm going to read Warren Buffett's book. I'm going to read Mark Cuban's book. I'm going to read whatever that is and learn about their life. And you can start learning about kings and queens who are there and about their experience. Read Richard Branson's book about Virgin and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes the coaches and mentors to get us there aren't always the people that we have access to. Sometimes we vicariously have to learn from their media or from their books and But in any dream and any idea, the best thing we can do is to get into a crowd of people that have already gone where we've gone before, or where we want to go, where they've already gone before us. And you mentioned that at the beginning about coaches. And that's so important that we get around people that have been where we want to go so that we can get where we're going and know the roadmap and learn from them and evolve it and try our own things and do that. And that's one of the ways we can fast track these micro experiments is by getting in a crowd of people that know the road ahead of us and that we can watch their journey, learn from their journey, and be a part of growing from their journey and applying it to ours.
Just love it. Yeah, that's exactly the way. Because I think that people really feel the difference if you just applied something on a topic or content from reading a book, right?
Yeah.
Or if you lived and gone through it yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's another knowledge. It's another feeling and frequency you radiate, right?
Yeah. Somebody once said, you can't give away what you don't own.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so powerful because so often we look at the world of coaches or we look at the world of entrepreneurs and they're trying to do something that and tell others how to do something they've never done. And so in this journey of chasing dreams and ideas, it's so important to know that in your journey, when you build your business, you can only give to the extent that you've experienced and known. And coming back to that kings and queens, to give to others, you have to be a king and queen of that space. All that to say, that doesn't mean you have to be a rock star in that space. So you could be a person who is helping other entrepreneurs on the journey. And maybe you're just a mile down the road from where they're at, but you're pulling them along. And so it's this collaborative place of saying, I'm not yet where I want to go, but I can still help others that are behind me that are trying to catch up to where I am. So it's this tension of like feeling at times like you're a fraud, but then knowing that you really aren't because you're still helping other people that are behind you and knowing the boundaries of your knowledge and wisdom and understanding and experience to be able to apply it to others. So if I'm coming along and I say, hey, follow me, I need to make sure that the person is in a place that I can help nurture and grow them and be a part of their journey, not a person that's ahead of me and I'm actually pulling them back. But then I need to be chasing other people in that pursuit and saying, these are people that are where I want to go next and growing towards where they're at and being in that process. So I'm looking at other podcasters, getting around them who are doing triple and more numbers than I am to go, what are they doing? What is working? What isn't working? And what are they doing to sustain that audience, that community, that growth? How can I learn from that? What's authentic, to come back to what you're saying? To me, I can't take everything that they're doing because it's not authentic. And then how can I grow that to be a strategy and system that works for me?
Exactly. Yeah. And what I really realize is the good coaches or the good podcasters, nearly in every area, it's like that, are those who have struggled in what they do now at the first place, right? That's why I was asking you in the beginning, because I'm always curious about that. So I have the authentic topic because I have so much experience with it because I had exactly that problem, right? And you come into the dream business here. How can I realize that? Because you yourself first had the question, how can I realize it? And then on the way and developing a solution for yourself, right? You came to where you are today to not only do it for yourself, but to do it as business, as you realize, well, that's a great topic and I love it. And you had the challenge. We come back to the first words we had. So we both believe everybody has a mission and came here for a purpose. And wherever one of us or the listeners struggles, it's a sign not only to mean that, get out of there, right? But the growth is out of the comfort zone, right? So this is something for sure. And we had talked about it earlier, just to play safe and do a job from 9 to 5. Anyway, the safe jobs are gone for my consideration. Especially here in Germany now, it's nothing really safe. But so this is an illusion also, right? Playing safe and playing small and never come really into play. So of course, entrepreneurship or going after big dreams and big goals, that's challenging. Of course it is, right? That's normal. That comes into play with that. But it's a decision. Do I want to play small and stay where I am and be complaining all day? Or should I go for my dreams and higher goals? And it might be challenging, yes, of course, but I have to find somebody who did it. And if he can do it or she can do it, I can do it. I just follow the steps and the system, right?
Yeah, and I think a couple things. First off, I talk a lot about the entrepreneurial space because that's the space I've been in for the last 15 years. So for me, that's what I know. And so I speak from that voice of entrepreneurship. But if your dream is to be an incredible teacher, go flourish. If your dream is to be a great coder working for Apple, go do that. So I'm not saying entrepreneurship is the only path. What I'm saying is that so many people settle for places that aren't fulfilling them. And so they play it safe. And so I know so many people that are in a job, maybe they're in an office and they're going, my dream has always been to teach kindergartens. I'm like, well, why didn't you do that? Well, because my parents said this or there's expectations of that or whatever it was. And you have to push past that and get back to your, what we call creative purpose, your core of who you are and how that operates in the world. The second thing I would say about this is that we're talking about very high level stuff here. And when you get into the nitty gritty, it is much more difficult to make this reality. And that's why we talk about micro experiments, because it makes the nitty gritty easier. And it makes the process of getting to the big high level picture easier. The thing is that I would say the first 2 years was a lot of discovery, learning, and experimentation in creating my podcast. We're into year 3, and now I'm feeling like I'm hitting my stride. I'm not where I want to be, but I feel like there are a lot of things that are firing in the right place. We're getting guests that we want. We're having the conversations we want. I'm a much better interviewer than I was 3 years ago. Our flow of the episode is much more tuned and honed in. Well, that was 3 years of micro experiments to say, well, why don't we try this? Why don't we try that? Yeah. There were simple things that I found that help our growth that surprised me. Somebody one time said, I don't feel like I hear enough of your voice in the podcast. And so I started doing these little micro experiments of trying, because we had all guest episodes. It was mostly guest episodes. They weren't hearing my perspective, my tips. And they said, I want to hear more of you. And so we tried this little micro experiments of doing solo episodes where it was just me talking about a topic. And I looked over the stats because stats tell a picture, a true picture.
Yeah, please tell me.
Our stats for our solo episodes, topical episodes where it's just me, were as good, if not higher, than some of our guest episodes, most of our guest episodes. And we were having some great guests. And so I looked at it and I said, well, there's something here. And so we experimented with it more. And now instead of doing 2 guest episodes a week, we do 1 guest episode and 1 topical episode. A couple of weeks ago, we tried something different where we, on Friday's episodes, we did Friend Friday instead of the topical. So I did a Friend Friday and another Friend Friday. I think I did 2 or 3 of them. And then I did a topical episode. And our numbers dropped when I wasn't doing those topicals on Fridays. Not because the Friend Friday, the entrepreneurs we were interviewing weren't awesome, but because people wanted the injection of who I am into the show. And so by using that micro experiment, that helped. Coming back to perseverance, though, I probably would have given up in year 1, probably month 3, if 2 things wouldn't have happened. 1, somebody that knew what they were doing and had been doing this for a while said, yeah, you know, that overnight success that you see in the Facebook groups, that's probably tainted by something you don't know. So keep going. Don't be discouraged by that. Your success is different than theirs because you're coming from a different standpoint. You've built for the last year or 10 years an agency working with web clients, being hyper focused on that. You weren't building an audience. You were building customers, which is a different thing. And so he said, you're not going to get the immediate bump of numbers quickly because you don't have that audience already built like other people. So don't look at it as a success. The second thing that kept me on perseverance was there was a couple guests that I really, really wanted to have on. One of those guests is actually coming back in a couple of weeks. I'm super excited to have him on. And I landed him and I shouldn't have, it was way too early in the podcast, but those 2 guests, what was amazing is that they gave me a point to look to and say, well, I've got to at least go for another 3 months because I'm interviewing Bill Shaft, who was a Letterman writer for his late night show. I'm interviewing him in a month. So I've got to at least go another month. And then we're booked out an episode. So that means that I've got to go at least another month after that till his episode airs. Okay, so now I've got 2 months out. Now, there's another guy named Meb Kefleski, who's an Olympic marathon runner, really cool guy. And so he was like 2 months out and he was getting ready to run his last marathon and it's the New York Marathon. And so it was a big deal to get his interview and it was a short interview, but now I'm 4 or 5 months out. And now I'm going, well, at least I have to do the podcast for the next 6 months. So that forced me into perseverance because I was getting some things that gave me hope, that gave me perspective, and that helped me push. Now, I wish I would say that after that 6 months, it became easier, but the next 6 months was a dredge and it was like hard. And then the next year, which was last year, there were moments where it was like, I'm hitting a stride, but then it would be moments of really like stepping back and feeling like, I'm not there. Now this year, I feel like I'm really hitting the stride. So I'm 3 years in, I'm feeling like we're hitting the audience we want. I feel like we're getting the guests that we want, that we're sharing the messages we want. But if I wouldn't persevere through the seasons at the beginning, if I wouldn't had experimented and tried and had failure and glimmers of hope and all that kind of stuff, I would have given up. And so whether it's starting a podcast and doing a podcast, whether it's starting a business and growing a business, whether it's chasing a dream that's a hobby, whatever it is, you have to persevere through the season where some people call it the dark season of the soul, where nothing seems right, where everything seems like it's going to fall apart. You push through that season with perseverance and you get to the other side and you go, oh, wait, here's where I thought I was going to be 3 months in. Oh, now I'm hitting the numbers that I thought I would be hitting at year 1, at the end of year 1. And it's 3 years in, but how many other people didn't stay the course to get where I am today? Now they've fallen to the side, and now it gives me a clearer space to operate at a place that others can't operate at because I have the experience, because I have the perseverance, and because I have the fruit of years of doing this now. So I think you should try anything that's a big idea and dream. Set a short-term goal for these micro experiments, but also plan a longer goal to say, I'm going to be committed to this for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, to say, no matter if it fails or succeeds, I'm going to be in this for that amount of time, no matter if it's going well or going poorly. Now, if you need the finances to reinforce that, then you have to say, how do I navigate that issue? That's a different thing. But keep that perseverance and set both short-term and long-term goals to help you on that journey of perseverance.
Right. So glad you explained that so well, even better than I can, because I managed to speak some English, but still, of course, I'm not native, right?
I wish I knew German. I would do it. That's a dream of mine. It's on my bucket list. Over on that desk, I have a blue folder with 325 things I want to do that are not business related, and some are, but most aren't. Speaking German is one of those. So maybe next time I can have German ready and we can do it in German.
Yes, that would be fun. That would be great. So we need to wrap it up as I have the next interview coming up. I'm sorry, but I was just the last word from my side, and then I give you the speech again. I was thinking I will air weekly once, right?
Yeah.
And I will do topic solo interviews in between, right?
Yeah.
To teach on the topic. But then, well, I will not complain. It's a luxury problem. But then I ended up being booked out till the end of September with deciding to air twice. So otherwise, the whole year I would be in 2020.
Yeah.
With the episodes booked already. So I said to myself, well, if I have you on the interview today, right? And the airing time is in January, right? I didn't want to have that because there is no relation and everything got forgot. And I didn't want to prolong it that long, but well, it's difficult to handle. So, well, I decided, okay, then I will air twice. And I didn't even do one single solopreneur episode. I just did with interview guests because I have them on the line and I didn't want to make them wait too long, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's a luxury problem. Would be worse if nobody wants to come and speak and share his voice, right? But it's a sort of just coming into play and then see and fix and learn the lessons about it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So did you want to add something, Michael? Please tell me, did we forget something or what we did not cover, or are we missing something here, or did we? I have the feeling we are quite good, but from your point.
Yeah, just the only thing I would say is that two things. One, if you have a question about this and you're listening right now, drop me an email, mike@jumblethink.com. It comes to me. There's no VA, virtual assistant, or assistant that's checking my emails. Drop me an email if you have a question about any of this stuff, or you just want to go, hey, how can I learn more about this? We also have a guide on micro experiments. You can find it at jumblethink.com/guides. It's completely
and it's free.
Yeah, it's a very short document, but if you want to learn a little bit more about that. Idea camps are coming. We're still working out some of those details, but in 3 days, we help people turn their dreams and ideas into reality, giving them a roadmap. Here's the deal, though. The one thing I would love to leave your audience know right now is that I believe you were created for something awesome. Something awesome doesn't have to be President of the United States or Chancellor of Germany or the next Matthew McConaughey or whoever that is. It doesn't have to be that. It could be being the best parent you could be. I believe you're created for purpose, and you need to step into that. So we always like to just encourage you, the people listening, go chase those dreams and ideas. You were created for something awesome, and the world truly needs you more than ever before. With so much dissensions, with so much brokenness of our culture, we need people with big ideas and dreams who are willing to take the risk, step into the fullness of their created purpose, and to walk with those dreams and ideas to change the world around them. Your change, whether it impacts just your family or the community around you or the global market, will have a ripple effect. And when you don't step into that fullness and destiny, when you don't step into the fullness of those dreams and ideas, when you don't walk in your created purpose, you're really stealing not only from yourself, but from those people around you who would benefit from the things that you have to offer, that would impact their lives, that would impact who they are and how they operate. So I encourage you, begin to step into those dreams and ideas. Begin to walk in the fullness of your created purpose. And it's going to be a hard journey. I won't sugarcoat it. It will be hard, but it will be worth it. And you will never know the fullness of your impact, but the impact will be there and it will make a difference, and that you will find a fulfillment that you could never imagine when you start to step into those things, when you walk into those things. Even when it's hard, you will feel that you're stepping and walking in the direction that you're supposed to. So that's my encouragement for all of you listening today. Take the leap. Even if it's a measured leap, a small step, but any step in that journey of moving forward and changing the world around you.
So grateful for your words, Michael. Well, I will mention everything in the show notes because listeners might be on the run, so they cannot write the email or whatever. I will mention everything. And special thanks because you're gifting us with your book into because the Fly Winners is chosen, so my listeners can win. I want everybody to win, right? I want you to be happy here. I want them to really be inspired, and if the interview is just going in the flow like that, I'm happy and I did win. And if life can be easy and enjoyable, why make it hard, right? So
right.
That's sort of my goal, and I always want to be sort of a gift for the person I'm just dealing with. So right now it's you, but it's also the audience out there. Yeah. So thanks for the book. We will throw that into the lottery pot, and I will mention everything in the show notes. And well, I think it's sometimes we're talking about this and this and this and sort of higher goals, but whatever is your purpose inside that, how you told us, that might be the best mom or in the kindergarten, whatever. That mustn't be something studied or right? Yeah. That's important to point that out, and I really believe the quest we came here for is to find that person, that purpose. Sorry, to find our purpose and to come in alignment with it and to live it, right? To bring this gift to others, and I truly believe if we don't, we will regret later, right? Writing our bucket list, we will have this on the list. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. I've really appreciated it.
Hello, Fly Nation. Thanks for listening in today to this awesome episode number 15 with Michael Woodward, the founder of JumbleThink and the JumbleThink Podcast. Feel free to share the Fly Podcast with your friends who might also profit from the tips revealed. Don't forget to subscribe to be sure you can listen to the amazing Julie Silent on episode number 16, airing on June 4th. She helps people to transform their lives and to elevate their lives. Please rate and review either on freestyleyourlifepodcast.com or on your favorite podcast directory, such as iTunes, Stitcher, or Spotify. You can always find all links and recaps in the show notes description on freestyleyourlifepodcast.com. All experts are happy to assist you reach your goals in their area of expertise. Have a great day and go for your dreams. Remember, Fly Nation, break free and fly. Talk to you next week. Bye.